Oh. Sahana bhavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, saha viryankaravavahai, tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Few questions are here. So let me see them first and then move on. Theory of reincarnation. Question number 1. Isn't it better to pursue strong desire and fulfill them one after the other than allow for resultant force to dictate our lives, since the experiences may be unpleasant? Repeat the question. Isn't it better to pursue strong desires and fulfill them one after the other than allow for resultant force to dictate our lives, since the experiences may be unpleasant? Yes, you can do that. But the problem is, this choice is not there with you. You cannot decide, resultant desire, you wait. Let me first finish and then you come. You need to develop a force which is more powerful than resultant desire. If what you are calling as a strong desire, a predominant desire, were to be more powerful than the resultant, it is exactly like this. Okay, something like this, if not, to perfection. Sir, doesn't matter the team score. Let me score more than the team. Is it ever possible? Even Brain Lara cannot do. The team score is always more than the individual score. Similarly, the resultant force of your desire is always more powerful. That's more powerful than your current predominant desire. Why is that case, sir? There are chances that resultant can go in alignment with the predominant desire. That is possible. That's quite possible. Not that it will never happen. It is quite possible that it can happen. It will come very close to that predominant desire. But then, the predominant desire, what you call, I have a powerful desire for Vedanta. Okay. Powerful desire for learning Vedanta. What about other desires? Equally, I'm having a powerful desire to visit various temples. The problem is what? To study Vedanta, I have to sit in a place. I can't be roaming around. At the same time, I'm having a desire to visit all the temples. What will happen? In between, you are having a powerful desire for peanuts. Along with that, you are having a desire for Telugu movie. You can satisfy those two things together. As you are watching a movie, you can keep eating peanuts. Simultaneously, you are satisfying two of your desires, fulfilling, correct. But what about studying Vedanta? When I say predominant desire, what we generally refer is at that point of time, that seems to be on surface. That particular desire on surface, I call it as predominant desire. That's about it. What is the proof? What you called a predominant desire when you were in 20 is not your predominant desire when you come to 40. Now you tell me, which is predominant desire? Sir, now this. It won't work like that. You see, your predominant desire can never supersede the resultant. Because what you are calling as predominant desire means it should be there with you throughout your life. You can't say at that point of time it is there, I fulfill it and then I go to the next, I fulfill that, then I go to the next. On paper, it will look fantastic. But in reality, it will never work. Because of these two reasons. Reason number one, what you are going to call as predominant, what you are calling as your predominant desire is directly connected to the capacity of your alertness and awareness. Isn't it? What are you aware of? Depends on that. That's what we have seen earlier. There are so many things hidden in a desire. Now, you don't say, I want to learn Vedanta. No. I want to learn Vedanta in a particular way. I want to learn Vedanta where they won't use too many Sanskrit words. Right? I want to learn Vedanta from a person who is more or less like me only. You see, who doesn't pose himself or herself to be someone in a higher pedestal. That's hidden no in that. Or you can say the other way around. No, sir. I want to learn Vedanta only from a person who is there. I don't want all this local. I want the great person. Then what happens? It's hidden there. It's not just, a simple statement. I want to learn Vedanta. That's it. Is that all? No. I want to learn Vedanta in this fashion. I want to learn Vedanta from a person who can and speak my language. I want to learn Vedanta from a person who is of this nature. I want to learn Vedanta from, so many conditions are there. I want to learn Vedanta from an environment where we are allowed to discuss, question, not much of instructions. There should be it should be a liberal platform. Implied, no. Isn't it? Are you aware of all this? When you said, I want to learn Vedanta. Same way you can go for every other desire of yours. I want to learn. Immediately you have to ask, what is decoded? Discern that little more. That will expose your desire. And then comes very many things in that. With awareness, what is going to be? You are aware of how many areas. You are not aware of all your desires. You are aware of only few desires. And within that few, you are going to make an assessment and say, that is why we are not able to make up a list. As I mentioned earlier, I said, make a list of your first 100 desires of yours. You'll say, no, I'm not able to proceed more than 10, 15. Why? Because my capacity, my intellectual capacity to be conscious is only that much. So I assume other desires are not predominant, because our argument is, sir, if it is predominant, it should be making so much of noise, right? It is making so much of noise, I should be able to hear, no? But then we know our ears are capable of hearing only a particular frequency. If the decimals were to go more, you can't hear. If it falls below a frequency, you can't hear. So our assumption is what? Within this only it has to be. But life will not move within this. It takes the total. You are aware or not is not the problem. That's where so many things happen for us. Because you are aware of only 10, right? Then what happens? As you keep moving in life, this 10 gets displaced, this 10 moves away from the surface, something else comes up. Your assumption is, I have overcome the 10. What we don't understand is, other fellows are wanting attention, therefore they pushed this fellow aside and they have come. That doesn't mean he has disappeared. Again, what he will do? He will push these fellows and come up again. But we don't have that much. Now, if at all anything that has happened, you take that erstwhile 10 and say, I have gained mastery over that 10 desires. And then the blunder you make is, you transfer that to your entire personality. Because obviously, according to you, only the 10 know. I had the desire for peanuts. Now, I buy peanuts and keep it in the room for 3 months. It is simply sitting there. I have not touched it. Therefore, what? I have control over this. And that is my most powerful desire of mine is peanuts. Now, once I have mastered over that itself, then what about all that minor desires? All dismissed. So what happens? I am a man of self-control. You shift that to your entire personality. This is the problem. That is why life will not go based on your alertness, your awareness. It can't be giving that charge to you actually. And then based on this, you look at that rest of that 90. And that is how that 90 will grow. One hand, the mind will tell what? Says, yeah, you have complete control, man. Don't worry about it. Complete control. And it will show as though you are having complete mastery over the 10. Projecting that insignificant 10 to be the most important aspect of you and make you believe that as though that is your predominant desire. And it will show that you have mastered over that. Quietly, what is happening? Like these people do in the roads, you know. In between, they were making, you know, public statements and all that. Police and all were announcing, if you see any 10 rupee note on the road, don't pick it up. It actually happened to one fellow. He found a 500 rupee note. A 500 rupee note on the road. This guy got down from the car and picked it up and came back and sat in the car. Next to the driver's seat, he has left his laptop. Laptop is gone. He only told me that. Laptop, 500 rupees, I lost a laptop, sir. What they say in English? Penny wise, pound foolish. Yeah? It's a beautiful statement. That's what your mind will do. What the mind does is, it will highlight that insignificant desire as the most predominant desire and make you believe without it, my life itself is worthless. And then what happens? You will also buy that idea. You will subscribe to it. And then you will start believing that that is a time you will start studying Vedanta also. Okay, you'll do some spiritual discipline and the mind will do what? It will show you, see, I will teach you how to control that. And it will ensure that you are having control also. It will subside that also. And then you go with the genuine belief that you have mastered your entire personality. And you believe you are, a grown spiritual. And that's what he is giving here. Parallelly, what is happening is, by sheer physical growth, you will gain mastery over certain things. Physical growth, certain things will happen to you. Now we think that is gaining this. Don't make this mistake. That is why life cannot be given in your hands. Say, you decide which is a predominant desire and you go about fulfilling it one by one. Thereby, your life becomes streamlined. Two problems are there. The cunningness of the mind and the weakness of your intellectual alertness. Both are playing parallel in you. Therefore, you can never decide which one is it. So this idea looks theoretically correct. Theoretically, you can say, correct, sir. It is better to pursue one by one. First, let me see, this is my predominant desire. Fulfill it. Then, next one. This is what all our, personality training people will give you. All that you have to do is what? Prioritize. Okay? Priority. Now, ask that fellow, my mother and my wife are fighting. Now, who am I to prioritize? I'm not giving a personal example, okay? And every husband knows how to resolve it. Very simple. In the hall, mother. In the room, wife. Yeah. Now, how are we going to resolve things? You see, health or wealth. Unless you are in that competitive world, you are not in the market, means you are out. You are not upscaling yourself, means you are out. Right. At the same time, you have to take care of this also. And this fellow says, that is why I'm telling you, prioritize. Prioritize. And in between, you will hear from Vedanta also. What is this? Follow your Swadharma. You will hear one word. And this fellow says, yeah, correct. That is what I am also telling you. What are you supposed to do? Follow your Swadharma. Some word we pick up. You see? Life cannot be moved in that direction. Because by law, remember this, by law, your resultant desire is the most powerful desire of yours, powerful force. No independent desire of yours can be more powerful than the resultant one. That's what we have studied here in this law of parallelogram of forces. What do you learn there? Which is the most powerful one? Is OA more powerful or OB is more powerful? You say both are not powerful. Remember, then who is the most powerful fellow there? OR. OR is the most powerful one. Is OA a stronger desire? Force? Instead of desire, you take it as force. Which is the most powerful force? Not any one of them. You cannot have this F1, F2, F3. None of those forces are equal to R1. The R1 is the most powerful. None of these things can overpower. Yes, there is a possibility where you can have it when you are having a single desire. But then we have seen that earlier, by nature, single desire is not a possibility at all. Single desire you can never have. Therefore, what will happen, sir? It will dissolve. It will disappear. Then what will happen? That I don't know. Okay. Don't ask me. Okay, Ishwaran, after that what will happen? I don't know that. Something will happen. One thing for sure, you will not die. Okay. That will not happen to you. That you don't have to worry. Because suppose if all my desires go, will I die? You will not die. Why? The proof is your own life now. Imagine just because you had to overcome the desires for eating, doesn't mean your tongue will disappear. No. Imagine I had overcome all the desire for with reference to seeing. Doesn't mean eyes will disappear. Isn't it? It doesn't go like that. No. Therefore, if all desires goals also, doesn't mean body will disappear. That is not necessarily to be happening. But one thing is possible. This can happen. But desire, single desire is not a possibility. Why it is not a possibility? Desire by nature, what is it? Indiscriminate thought flow. That's the meaning of desire. What is a desire, sir? Desire means indiscriminate thought flow. How can you have indiscriminately entertaining only one thought? Isn't it? What they call oxymoron. Huh? It is contradiction in terms. Single desire is a contradiction in terms. It is not possible. Indiscriminately, I'm thinking only one. Impossible. Discriminatedly, you can think one. Discretely, you can have single. Without any discretion means no direction, which means it will move in all directions. It cannot have a single direction. So therefore, desire by definition cannot be single. It will be always multiple. The moment you say multiple, it is multiple force. Multiple force, which is the most powerful one. Resultant is the most powerful one. So what is guiding your life? Right through. Right through, you are moving in the direction of your resultant force. Most of the time, the resultant force will be moving in alignment with some predominant desire. It will come little closer to it. Little closer to it. Little closer to it. But you know logic. In logic, there are two different things. Similarity doesn't mean same. Isn't it? They are similar. Even identical twins are similar, not same. They're similar. Same way, your predominant desire and the resultant desire need not be moving in opposite direction. Okay. So that is the understanding here with reference to the first question. There is One more question is there. Is it just the desires that dictate our present life? What about karmas? Or are we calling karmas as desires here? Yes. When we say desires, what we are referring to is your karma. What is the karma? You entertained a thought. That is a karma. You entertain a particular thought, you are creating the desire. That desire propels the body to perform an action. So in terms of our karma and desire, it's the same thing. I hope that's clear. Okay. Then you have given a third question, but there's one more question is there. Suppose a person is blind, which is a resultant force of all his desires put together. Don't people only desire good things? Shouldn't the resultant force also be good, giving him good experiences? How to explain his blindness then? I don't know. In the book itself, he has given an answer directly to this, which is a real life experience example, not a hypothetical one, not a story. Okay, it is a live thing he has explained. So when we read that, I'll explain that. The third one. So the second one, sir, what is the karma and desires? Your desires are the karma that you have accumulated. Don't take it as only just punya, papa and all that. Your desires is what you accumulated. That's why we call them as prarabdha vasana, sanchita vasanas and all that. Is your desires, the vasanas that you have created. Another way of using that same is prarabdha karma, sanchita karma and all that. So in the initial stage, we will call it as karma. With a little deeper, if you can go, karma means in terms of punya, papa and all that, consequences. If you can understand little deeper ideas, then we call it as vasanas. How that has come in, sir? By your own entertainment of thought. You entertain it. That is where Purushartha comes into picture. The capacity to entertain a thought is available to you. That is called a Purushartha. Right. So your desires, your karma, your destiny, all same thing. Desire, destiny, karma, your past karma, it's all same thing. Then what is Purushartha, sir? Purushartha is your capacity to entertain a desire, entertain a thought. You can entertain any thought now. That capacity you have. You can choose a particular thought and entertain it. That capacity is called Purushartha. Right. So the question comes here is this. What do we learn from this law of parallelogram of forces? Is this. You say, if a person is going to be living his life, and his life is moving because of his desires, then I never desire to die. Right. But then death happens. Death comes. Why? Luigi say, it is guided by your resultant force. If your resultant desire were to be needing a shift, then you will shift. That's about it. It is nothing to there. Now it is established with the principle. Explained it with the principle of this. So this law of parallelogram of forces explains why is it that I have to move from one embodiment to another embodiment, one experience to another experience. Why am I moving? Not because of any external force forcing me to that environment. What is driving? It is my own desires. My own desires means not any one particular desire. It is sum total of all that desires fixing the direction. It is the resultant desire that is making. That is, if the resultant desire were to necessitate a change, then you move from one janma to another janma. You shift. So here, the death is happening. Why? Not because of any reason. It is happening only because of your resultant force has decided to shift. You shift. It's got nothing to do with any other factor. Don't say corona, don't say this, don't say that. None of those reasons. No other cause. There is only one cause for death to be happening. So it's the desires that decide the course of your life, but not any particular desire. Right? Continue reading. We'll see more.
Page 289. Besides the above analysis and conclusion, it would be interesting to observe what exactly happens to a person at death, to his gross, subtle, and causal bodies and Atman, the self within. It is obvious that the physical body has not gone. It lies there. And the Atman, of course, cannot go anywhere since it is all pervading. It exists everywhere. Being so, it should exist in the dead body as well. Besides, movement of an object is possible from a place where it exists to a place where it is not. As the Atman pervades everywhere, there is no place where it does not exist. Hence, it cannot move. Thus, the physical body of the person and the Atman are very much there at the time of death. It is only the other two components of the individual, namely the causal and subtle bodies, that move out. Therefore, the transference of the causal and subtle bodies from one gross body to another is designated as the death of the former body and the birth of the latter. The concept of birth and death becomes clearer with the example of the sun and its reflections. The sun's rays are all pervading. Wherever there is a reflecting medium, there will be a reflection of the sun. Hold a mirror in a frame in broad daylight. You will find a reflected sun in it. Remove the mirror from the frame and fix it to another frame. Instantly, the reflected sun in the first frame vanishes and appears in the second. The image is dead in the first and born in the second. The reflected sun moves from one to the other, brought about by the transference of the mirror. Equate the example to the phenomenon of birth and death. The sun above represents the Atman. Its all-pervading rays would then be the pure consciousness everywhere. The frame would be the gross body. The glass and the reflecting material composing the mirror would represent the subtle and causal bodies respectively. The Atman functioning through these bodies projects the individual. Thus, The transference of the subtle and causal bodies from one gross body to another determines the death and birth of the individual. Until the vasanas, desires, get completely exhausted, the causal and subtle bodies eliminated, the cycle of birth and death will continue for him. The moment the vasanas, desires, are eradicated, the individuality is dissolved. His cycle of birth and death ends. He attains spiritual enlightenment.
Yeah. This is now he is explaining what is happening in death. At that time of death, what is happening? The subtle body is moved away. In life, what is happening? We move from one experience to another experience, one environment to another environment with the physical body. Right. At the time of death, what is happening? You move away from the physical body. Now, this movement, who is moving away from the physical body? Now this problem comes. Who has moved? Keep praying, no, oh, he's gone, or she is gone, she has left. All that we say. Now the question comes is who? To what we are referring as he or she. That he or she cannot be referring to the body because body is lying there. Isn't it? It's there. Now, you can't say it's gone because he's there now. And it is so interesting to see people, the ones who are very close to the person, one thing you will find, all those people saying and crying. He is looking like sleeping. You see? It's not looking like, dead at all. It's like he's actually sleeping, But what is interesting is this perception comes only to a person who is close. A far distance person will never feel like that. When you see a stranger's body, sometimes, when they carry, you see that, on the road, and you see, you can clearly make out it is dead. But you never feel that it's like sleep. Only when you're close, you feel like that. It's what we call as you project it. It is your projection. That's about it. But one thing for sure, what is it? Factually, the body is there. Then what has moved? Body has not moved. Then what must have moved? Immediately we say the soul has left. And we also text. We also call people, may his soul rest in peace. What are we referring? The word soul refers to what there? Usually, we say the soul is referred to the term spirit, Atman, Brahman, the pure consciousness. Right? This statement doesn't make sense because the definition for Atman, what we call that spirit as all-pervading. How we derived the self to be all-pervading is an independent analysis. Okay, that I'm not going right now. Understanding is this. The principle is this. Principle is subtler one is more pervasive than the gross. Now we study human personality. Body. Beyond that body is mind. Beyond the mind is the intellect. Beyond the intellect is the vasanas. Beyond the vasanas is the self. In between, you wanted to add, you can add one more, pranamaya kosha also. Annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, anandamaya kosha. The self is standing beyond these koshas, subtler than that. By nature, the subtler element is more pervasive than the grosser. So pranamaya kosha is more pervasive than the annamaya kosha. Manomaya kosha is more pervasive than the pranamaya kosha. Vijnanamaya kosha is more pervasive than manomaya kosha. And anandamaya kosha is more pervasive than the vijnanamaya kosha. The Atman is more pervasive than anandamaya kosha. Now, there is nothing beyond Atman. Therefore, Atman is said to be all-pervading. That's all. This is the easiest way. Now, I'm not going into why, how, and all those things. Details, and we have seen that earlier, right? I'm only recapping it. Now, since by definition that spirit component or that self or Atman or Brahman is all-pervading, because it is all-pervading, it cannot move. So we say body has not moved, Atman cannot move, then what must have moved? What is left out is only two things are there: subtle body and causal body. Vasanas and the equipments, mind and intellect, desires. That's all. That combination is what is referred to as jiva, the subtle body and causal body. So who has moved? Body has not moved. The self has not moved. Then what is moved, sir? The jiva along with his desires, his vasanas has moved. Okay. Now he is giving an example to explain that. The sun above, and there is a mirror fitted to a frame. When you keep that, you will find the sun reflected in the mirror. Now there is a reflected sun in the mirror, and there is a sun above. There are two suns now, isn't it? Now what? How many suns are there? If I ask you, you will say there is one sun here, one sun above. There are two. Suppose if I am having two mirrors, then what happens? You will say there are three suns. Suppose there are 10 mirrors, you will say 10 suns. Now all these things are very important. Remember, you see, this is the biggest fight, or one of the mistakes of people, of great thinkers. They have arrived at a wrong conclusion. They thought so many mirrors, so many suns are there. What Vedanta says, yes, man, there are so many suns, but they are not real sun. All of them were what? Reflected sun. The real sun is only one. Depending upon the number of mirrors we are having, number of suns will appear. That's all. Remember this example, because this example will be important for us subsequently as we are going to study next chapter and all. Things are going to get more and more abstract. Okay. So we got to manage with that. So remember this idea. Sun above, there is a mirror. Now, when I remove that mirror from this frame, I take it and place it in the new frame. What has happened? The sun that is reflecting here in this frame will not be seen anymore. Then where is it gone, sir? It has shifted to another frame. From here, it has gone to another. That's all has happened. And the reflection will happen in this. Why the reflection is happening? Because there is a coating being given behind that glass. The transparent glass, when I give a coating, some coating they give. I don't know what they give actually. Something they give. They give that coating in that it gains the capacity to reflect. Otherwise, the light rays will penetrate and go the other side. There is no reflection. It's just a transparent glass. Passes through and goes. No reflection. But the moment I paint something, it is. The moment I scrape that paint out of it, what happens? Reflected sun will disappear. When the reflected sun disappears, you mean to say sun is dead? The sun above is dead? The sun above is gone? No. Ishwaran, that sun above still remains intact. Isn't it? Same example here. Now what you have to do, sir? Wherever there is a reflecting medium, what is a reflecting medium? The subtle body is the reflecting medium, the glass, the mirror. When there is a reflecting medium, there you will find a reflected sun. The reflected sun is called the individual, the jiva. Right? When he is dying means what? Means the mirror is removed from this frame and fitted into a new frame. The removal is called death. Fitting is called birth. That's all. So, what is happening at the time of death? Nothing is happening. Is there anything lost? Nothing is lost. As far as that reflected sun is concerned, as far as that mirror is concerned, which is reflecting sun is concerned, is there anything happened? Nothing has happened. All that has happened is moved from this place to that place, from this frame to that frame. What is a frame? Body is the frame. The body right now, which is carrying that mirror, is the frame, which is carrying the subtle body right now, along with the causal body. The reflection is seen where, how clear the reflection will be. Reflection is not dependent on the sun. The reflection is dependent on the reflecting surface. Isn't it? So we find there are many. Perfect reflection happens. Very good mirror is a human body. Human subtle body. Animal subtle body is not as clear. Plant subtle body is so not clear because the coating is not clear. What about inert? You mean to say there is no sun hitting there on the rock? Of course it is hitting on the rock. But still, you will not find a reflected sun in the rock. Why? The rock is not capable of reflecting. It's not a reflecting medium. So wherever there is a subtle body, depending upon the quality of the subtle body, the manifestation of the reflected sun will be. The clarity of the reflected sun will be. That's all. So this example gives us, remember, any example I have told you, any example has a limitation. You can't stretch beyond a point. it explains only one facet. What is it is explaining, sir? It is explaining only the aspect of what is happening at that time of death. What has moved? Who has moved? What in me has moved, sir? All that has happened is I have moved from this frame to another frame. Changing frame is not going to be the essential criterion. That's what he says. Once the vasanas, the coating is removed, what happens then? The reflected sun disappears. Only then I get the chance to see the original sun. As long as the reflected sun is there, I will start be assuming myself to be the reflected sun. When the coating is gone, I understand I am not the reflected sun, I am the original sun. I am the sun above. That understanding is called enlightenment. This understanding you can get anytime. This knowledge you can get right now. But this doesn't mean just an information, please. As far as you are concerned, it's just an information. That you are not the reflected sun, you are not the the jiva, you are the self. It's just a statement, just the words. You see, it doesn't communicate anything to you as on death. But this example will help you to comprehend this idea of what is happening at the time of death. All that has happened is moving from one place to another place. That's it. Nothing else. Then we ask the question, sir, if at the time of death, whatever the number of desires that I have had, with that desires only, I will go to next one, isn't it? It will move from here to there. Means it will go with that same number. Imagine I have had 87 desires. Here, when I move to the next birth, with how many desires I will come? Same 87. No increase, no decrease. Same number. This is what Vedanta means by saying, if you learn Vedanta, this knowledge will stay with you. Immediately people think, oh, now I don't have to study Bhagavad Gita again, next janma. You have to study Bhagavad Gita next janma also. Right. That's what one lady told me this. But next janma also you should come and teach. I said, oh, Allah desire, I said. You should be saying, sir, this should be your last janma. Realize. Instead of saying that, we are not able to realize, sir, at least you realize if you say, I can understand. Next janma also you should come and teach me, now what? Don't realize in this janma. Said, Nalla student, I said. Good student. What Vedanta means is, when you say that you have understood this, means you have eradicated this many number of desires. Means next janma you will start with that same number of desires. Now, with the knowledge of Vedanta, with the spiritual effort only, you will be able to knock off your desires. Not with any other expertise. No other expertise, no other effort of yours will help you to eradicate the desires. That's why any amount of effort you put in this janma, next janma you have to start with what? Same thing again. But in Vedanta we say, no. If you have worked here, next janma you will start exactly where you have left. Oh, I have studied up to chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita. Next janma I will start from 17th chapter. That's not the meaning of it. What it means is, if you have understood the subject, that many desires you would have knocked off. And next janma, you will start with that many desires, which means that much of intellectual clarity you will have. Because what is clouding your subtle intellectual clarity is the presence of desires. The fog of desires is what is clouding. Now you have decluttered all these things, means to that extent you would have had your intellectual capabilities. I don't mean intellectual capabilities in the sense of analytical capacity. Remember that. That's not what is referred. Because intellectual capacity means that also. Your analytical ability is also referred as intellectual capacity, not that alone, please. Here, intellectual capacity means the capacity of the intellect to keep the mind under check. Whose mind? Your mind. What is mind? Desires. What is mind? Not desires. I will have mastery over my desires. Whatever mastery I have gained in this janma, with the spiritual effort, that effort will never go waste. You will start exactly from where you are. It is not a promise, or it's not this thing. This is logic. You see, people think as Krishna has given that promise. He will take care. He is not going to take care. It's like saying 2 plus 2 is 4. Whoever says it is 4 only. You see. Now suddenly you can't say, just because it is told by a kindergarten student, we have a doubt, sir. It's a fact. The fact is what? You move. So, is there any loss? At the time of death, have you lost anything? No, you have not lost anything. You have only moved from one place to another place. Then we ask the question, why did you move? Go back now. Why I had to move? Go back. Resultant. What is a resultant desire, sir? Essentially, we all have one problem. What is a problem? I am not satisfied with my current. If that dissatisfaction grows beyond a point where I cannot adjust and manage, what happens? I leave the embodiment, I leave that environment and move to another. Is there a guarantee the next one will be better? No guarantee. It is like I have a fight with my wife, I divorce her. And then I fall in love with another girl and marry her. No guarantee that the next one is going to be any better than my previous one, isn't it? Is it a guarantee? There's no guarantee. That is why the divorce rate of second marriage is more than the divorce rate of the first marriage. Look at the statistics. It's very interesting. Why? Because a person says, I made a mistake. First time, sir, so you make a mistake always. You see, the second time I will not make the mistake. I know whom to choose now. A fellow chooses. Then what happens now? This divorce rate is more than the first one now. There's no guarantee, remember. But then, when a person is going through this pressure, they always feel, when you were living in a village, you have been fantasizing living in Bangalore to be something extraordinary, isn't it? You come here. Now what are you fantasizing? Look at that village people, sir. Very innocent. Go and live there. You will know their innocence. Always people come and tell me, those people you should see, they are very innocent. You live with them, you will know how innocent they are. You just see them only as, flying visit you give. You go and stop with the Mercedes Benz in front of their house. Obviously, they will be humble and hospitable and all that. You go there as a beggar, and see what happens. Live there. Whole equation will change. No. I am not. You are never contented with the current. Therefore, always you will be asking for something, 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 something. When that pressure builds up, what will happen? You will try to dismiss that, you will try to adjust, you will try to adjust, you will try to adjust. How much you can adjust? You can adjust beyond a point. Then what happens? Shift happens. When the shift happens, is there anything? There is nothing. No difference at all, actually. It is the same one. What has disappeared here, appeared here, same. That's about it. Only difference is what? It is fitted into a new frame. That's it. And that fitting has so many aspects to it. When you dismantle, there is a possibility of damage. When you mount it also, there is a possibility of damage, isn't it? Same way. That's why very many samskaras have been given in our how to dismantle and how to fit in. That's what they do. That Simantoyana and all that we do, no, before this birth. They do very many samskaras are there for a person to do. From Garbhadan onwards, they start. That has to happen in the particular time, in a particular way. It looks very ridiculous for us. But at the same time, they say, don't you have to ensure that the mirror that is taken and fitted here fits into a proper place? How the fitting has to be done. So that the samskaras give all those things. Let this go and sit there. Let this go and sit here. Let that, body be prepared in a proper way to receive that particular individual. Because it's all like Rolls Royce. Remember, our body is like Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce is not manufactured in mass. They don't. You say, I want to buy Rolls Royce, they will send catalogs. I can decide. For my this one, this has to come, that has to come, this has to come, that has to come. Custom made those things, handmade. All those things were handmade and given to you. Same way, your body is also been handmade. That's why we have tremendous respect to the body. We value the body. So there's nothing in the body actually speaking, but still we give a lot of value to it. Why? Because it is custom made for that particular individual's demand. Who is demanding it? His own desires have demanded it. Based on that, things are happening. So then we teach. Then the Shastras will teach you how this has to happen, how birth has to happen, how death should be happening, how birth should be happening. Isn't it? You should know how to remove it, no? The frame. And you should also know how to fit it in the new one. It's a skill. Same way, they say dying is a skill. Taking birth is a skill. You'd be skillful enough to get a proper birth. You should get that skill. So that's what he is giving here in this example. Person moving from one body to another body. The movement that is happening. That's all. What is moving? The subtle body along with the causal body. So what is death? Death means unmounting is called death. Mounting is called birth. Loading the software, uninstalling the software. Simple. Isn't it? That's what they say. When you are uninstalling, they say what? You want a complete uninstallment or just the files to be removed? The residue will be there, sir. You may uninstall the program, but still the residue files are still there. So you should know how to uninstall. Similarly, you should know how to install a software. Installing a software is called birth. Uninstalling that software is called death. Electricity, which is supporting both, is the self. The hard drive, the motherboard is the body. That's all. So, it is as simple as that. Uninstall it. That's it. And you should know how to uninstall. I don't know how to uninstall that. Don't worry, I will teach you, says the Shastras. And the scriptures give you that. That's what the Smriti is all about. The Smritis give you that technique. How you should install a software and how you should uninstall a software. Right. For example, the faculty of seeing should be loaded where? In the eyes. Imagine the faculty of seeing is loaded in the nose. What will happen? Both the equipments will not function. Nose also will not function. Eye also will not function. And you forgot to install one, let's say. What happens there? That is why we pray to those, let those faculties be installed properly. You ensure it. Is that installation in my hands? Whose hands it is? Who is going to install and who is going to uninstall? The program itself cannot install itself and uninstall itself. There has to be somebody, doing it. The one who is uninstalling is Yama. The one who is installing is Brahma. There are two fellows. One fellow uninstalls. Uninstallation is done by this guy. So we pray to him, hey, please man, properly uninstall here. Don't leave anything behind. No trails. Okay? Take the whole thing. Complete uninstallation. Then you go and request Brahma, hey, properly install, man. All the things should be installed in that particular respective places. Don't miss anything. Don't mix anything. Without missing and mixing, place it in an appropriate way. For that, I am so grateful to you, thankful to you. So this is what we do in these are all corroboratory. Okay, these are all extra we derive out of it. Whatever we can derive, we derive. What is the gain? What is the loss? No gain, no loss. At the time of birth, are you gaining anything? Nothing. At the time of death, are you gaining anything? Nothing. Are you losing anything? Nothing. As far as a person is dying, remember, we are discussing death from the point of view of whom? From the point of view of the dying. We are not discussing it from the point of view of others around him. Because he doesn't care about others around. Remember, the one who is born, taking birth also doesn't bother about people around him. The one who is dying also doesn't bother about people around him. That's why we keep crying, Ayo, Paitiye, you have gone, you have gone. What will I do? Your cry is not for him going. Your crying is, what will I do? Without you, how can I live? You suffer for your attachment, full stop. But as far as he is concerned, he has moved. As far as she is concerned, she has moved. Now you have no business there, you see. But then we say, we do this. This is where this understanding comes and helps us. So if at all you see death, what do you understand? There is no guarantee, but there is a possibility. Exactly like you shift from one company to another company, you shift from one place to another place, you move from one marriage to another marriage with the hope of the next one would be better than the previous one. Right. We'll see more in the next class. Thank you.